Boxing Shop, ladies and gentlemen. Your favorite crew is here. As you see, Ray's got the freshest merch in the game. Ray's out there in cold area, high climate, cold area. So you know how he keeps warm? He wears the hottest merch in the game. Ain't that right, Ray?
I don't know about that line, but yeah, let's do it.
Hey, real quick, want to just take a pause for the cause. Shout out to Cobra Arcade Tucson, official partners of ITR Boxing. Hey, I'm looking forward to this year we got coming on. And if you are in the Arizona area, we're going to be shouting out Cobra Tucson. There's going to be a lot of fight nights coming up, fight parties, after fight parties, that is. But again, shout out Cobra Tucson. It's my personal favorite bar in town anyway. And, if you want to come see me one time, play some Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, I'm going to take you down. So, hey, shout out Cobra Tucson. Appreciate the love. And, hey, ITR Boxing and Cobra Tucson, hey, 2024, looking forward to a great year, man. But, Ray, before we get into it, how was your weekend, man? It was a fun weekend of boxing.
Yeah, man, it was a good weekend. A lot of fights, different platforms. It was good for boxing, bro. Like this past couple years, it's kind of turned into almost the best time in boxing, right? You got one fight ends, and then next weekend you got kind of I don't know if it's just everybody trying to cram the fights in, but it works out for boxing fans, and it was a good one.
Yeah, man, it was one of the more entertaining weekends of the year, I want to say, because not only do we have some upsets in there too, we've had some action-packed fights that some people might say fight of the year contenders on the DAZN undercard, and bro, knockout of the year contenders after like one after another. We got the Jake Paul one, we've got Bam Rodriguez, and of course Rayo. For me, I'm gonna rock with Rayo for KO of the weekend.
Oh, over the weekend? Oh yeah. Like I saw people saying he looked like he got hit with a stun gun, the way he just kind of fell. Then that rope, his neck lands on the rope. It's kind of like, bro, is that choking him while he's knocked out? Like it was dirty, bro. Kind of came out of nowhere, right? Because the whole fight, I'm like, man, this dude really is that tough, right? Because I was like, how's he not going down? Like he went down, whatever. But I was just like, how's he not getting stopped? And then I don't know, man, a perfect punch, kind of leaping punch. I wouldn't say he threw it perfectly, but just landed on the perfect spot. And it made for a nice KO.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was one of those Joe Frazier left hooks. It was great. I don't know if I'm going to call it that a KO of the year yet, but it's definitely in question for that for sure. And I'm not.
Yeah, especially being so late in the year, it's one that like kind of sticks out. I think you have advantage if you fight late in the year, right? Because it's what's fresh in your memory, right? And I'm sure some people go back and watch everything, but like when I think of it, like, bro, that was a nasty knockout. Just everything that led up to it, right? The history with them fighting in March and that kind of being controversial, and then all the trash talk going basically the whole year, right? Every guy's like, man, I beat you, whatever. Then the fight gets announced. They're going at it at the press conference. And I don't think that fight could have ended in a better way if you're Rayo.
Right. And then again, as you said, shout out Colbert too. That's one tough man. That's a tough ass dude, bro. I was watching his face expression in that first round, and I was like, no, he's done, man. The dude is like, he's dizzy as hell. Like he is done. I don't think he's going to make it. But bro, he ended the round pressing Rayo. Like that is a tough move, man.
And then I don't think he won the second round, but it's arguable. Like he came out like punching, and I think we're in the talking to each other, and we're like, this is the same exact fight, right? Like what's gonna happen? But I did say, Rayo, after he got that knocked out, to me he looked a lot more focused on that body. And he was hard there, right? So I know it ended early, but I think that fight was definitely going to end at some point. That leaping right hook, that's a highlight reel KO for sure, and especially on a big platform. Like I felt really good for Rayo, man. I think he deserved it.
Oh yeah. No, without a doubt. And like you said, the build-up, the hype, the controversy in the first fight. Not only was it a perfect fight, perfect night for Rayo, but as boxing fans, you couldn't have asked for a better rematch. That's, the build up, the hype, all of that matched the in ring action and everything too, and that's what you like to see. I don't like to see the trash
And
talk
then you
before
even get
and they don't perform. But yeah, they matched it.
well, and then like for Rayo, right? Because I mean, yeah, what you do inside the ring matters, but I felt like he even made a good name for himself on what he did after the fight, right? The post fight when he said, I think he said something like, making that bet was childish of me. Keep the 50,000 for your family and for the holidays. And I'm like, man, if you're looking in, you're like, man, this is a class act who just knocked this guy out, right? So he kind of did it inside the ring. And then I think he probably gained some fans outside the ring. Because how can you not respect that, right? Like everybody always talks about betting or whatever. And whether he was going to pay or not, he kind of ended that and said, like, I don't want your money, man. Like, you take care of your family.
Right.
So, yeah.
And again, shouting out him and his dad, thanking him. Now, I will say Colbert's reaction, he's thanked and shouted out Rayo on social media since then. But his initial reaction tells me that, you were definitely still wobbled and stunned because I don't think anybody wants you to run that one back. If you're a Chris Colbert fan, like a diehard Chris Colbert fan, it's got to be hard to watch, and you definitely don't want that rematch with Rayo or the third fight with Rayo for sure. But one fight I do want to see Rayo in is Edwin De Los Santos rematch. That would be fire, and I think it's a perfect time to make that rematch.
Yeah, that was I guess the competitor in Colbert, right? Like he obviously didn't know what happened. Like they told him he lost. Like you don't realize you were just hanging on by your neck on the rope, bro. Like you're in no position to call for a rematch or whatever. And it was kind of even awkward, right? Like even Rayo was kind of like, oh yeah, like. But I think that's just the competitor in Colbert. But yeah, that's why we've talked before, or people have said like it's hard. Maybe they shouldn't interview fighters right after a knockout. I mean, I don't think he was. I don't think he was all the way there.
Yeah, no, he definitely was not, and that was evident. I mean, you could just tell. He just. I mean, getting knocked out like that, there's no way you're going to recover and have all your marbles within that time frame. I saw on Twitter somebody said that I forgot who it was. I'd like to shout him out who said it, but he said basically Rayo put Colbert in the time machine because dude woke up 5 minutes later, and that's exactly what happened. He's got that time machine punch.
He did, man. Hey, but let's not let Jack off the hook. Catch and counter, Jack Frost. I don't know. He picked Colbert to win by decision. I don't know why anyone thought that was going to happen, right? Like that first fight was very lopsided to me, even though Rayo lost. But, just everything even Rayo hit him with in that first fight seemed to hurt Colbert. And then I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Jack could explain himself, but I just didn't see why people would pick Colbert going into this match. And I think Rayo showed, maybe he's just too big for him, whatever. But also Rayo can punch, man. We're talking about De Los Santos. Like he put De Los Santos down, right? Like that was a firefight. Both guys just going at it, both hurting each other. Well, I think last week I said like, Rayo did more damage to De Los Santos than Shakur Stevenson, who we crowned at this division, did.
Right.
Rayo definitely did more damage. Like without it, you can't even question that. So yeah, that's a rematch that I'd love to see. And then obviously, Rayo's aiming big already, right? He called out Tank.
Yeah. That is
ready for that? I don't know, but that's bombs away in that fight, right? The only thing I would say, man, Rayo's gotten hurt in that De Los Santos fight. That doesn't look good when you're going against Tank. But Rayo's punching power is crazy as well. So, I don't know what Tank's gonna do. He seems to have a lot of options, but if he kind of follows that Mayweather blueprint, right?
Yeah,
he's not gonna give us the fight, right? So
and that's off. From jump, you want to say that Rayo's not ready for Tank, but you think about it. I mean, was Hector Luis Garcia ready for Tank in that position? I mean, you can make the argument that but as far as like star power and his introduction to that division and competition level, I would want to say I want to see Rayo take on a De Los Santos, avenge that loss, and maybe another top 10 type of fighter before he gets that Tank fight.
Yeah.
Not that I don't feel like he's ready and he wouldn't give Tank a competitive matchup, but I would like to give him the best chance at beating Tank, and I want to see him in the big lights a little bit more before he takes that fight. You know what I mean?
Him maybe not being ready, don't you think that kind of gives him a better chance at getting that fight?
Yeah, that's true. And it's like you said, Tank is following that Mayweather blueprint. I saw a little whatever I guess it was just a tweet. It wasn't really an announcement, but it was just a tweet from Leonard Allerby. Haney and Tank going back and forth, saying that they offered Tank the fight, and Leonard Allerby answered and said, when Tank is ready for the fight, you'll get the offer from us. We don't accept offers. We send offers.
That's so corny, man. Like I get it, but like
it kind of is, right?
Like Tank, man. Like I'm probably ride with Tank, but like, hey, Devin Haney has done more than you, whether you like it or not. He's done more in the sport than you. Like I really feel like there's no debating that. And when they bring up not wanting to fight at 140, it's like, bro, you fought Barrios at 140, who was a champ, right? So if you claim that you were a champ at 140, now Devin's too big,
right?
It's like it's just corny, man. I don't like it. And Floyd, I kind of Floyd Canelo, that fight always gets brought up, but I don't like that fight because Floyd had fought Oscar at 154. But then afterwards, he had to fight Canelo at 152 or whatever. It's just like, man, you've already fought there. Like, I get getting the advantage, but at the same time, make the weight and fight, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like these little, especially a catch weight when you've already fought at that weight. Okay, you can fight Barrios at 140, but you can't fight Devin there. It's just kind of weak to me. And
yeah.
I don't think it's a good look. They probably say, hey, we don't care about good. We don't care how it looks. We make money, whatever, cool. But just as a fan of the sport.
I'm with you on that. From a fan's perspective, it's corny to see that. And it was because Leonard was responding to Eddie Hearn. It was the original tweet. And just seeing them discussing business like that in a sense, via Twitter, and just kind of throwing shots like, when we're ready, we'll send the contract. No, we're going to send the contract. Like, bro, forget about it. And the thing I admire about Devin Haney is I know they're with it. No matter what, they're with it and they want the fight. And I can't, if it don't happen, I think all blame needs to go on team Gervonta Davis, not team.
Yeah, it's like Tank, man. Say you want the fight, right?
Right.
But maybe he's in a position where he doesn't care. Hey, just make the fight for me. I'll fight him. But like these fights, I think from what we've seen, they don't get made unless both guys want the fight, right? Like
right.
The way Ryan Garcia, his promoters obviously didn't want him to fight Tank, but he kind of put it out there so much, we got the fight.
Yeah.
Even that was rehydration clauses, which it just doesn't look good, man. And when you start lining up these guys like Devin and Tank, like, man, Tank is just a lot of like asterisk by his wins and the names he fights. And I'm a big Tank fan, man, but when someone's kind of calling you out and it makes sense, like, hey, man, he's right.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said Tank's following that blueprint. I mean, isn't that Floyd's career can have a lot of asterisks next to his opponent names too. I mean, he's definitely following that blueprint to the T. And I've said it many times, I don't think fighters are afraid to fight anybody, really. Especially in this case, I don't think Gervonta Davis is afraid of fighting Devin Haney, but their team, something about it, they don't want that fight. Obviously, for whatever reason, if they did, they would push it. We'll see how much pressure Haney puts on him, because I feel like the only reason why Davis and Garcia was made was because Ryan put a lot of pressure on him to make that happen.
Yeah, but Ryan also made concessions. I don't think Devin is going to make those concessions, and I don't think Devin has to.
True.
Right? Like, bro, Devin's accomplished more. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, he's accomplished more. I think Ryan was like kind of so eager to, I don't know, maybe prove that he's a real fighter or just prove he's not scared. He's like, man, hey, whatever, I'll do whatever to make the fight. And it probably cost him, right? Like the rehydration, the big thing, of course. But I don't think Devin is going to do that, and I don't think Devin should do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Which goes back to why Rayo is probably has a good chance of getting a tank fight, whether he's ready or not. But I think his power. I think someone with his power is something that I'd like to see Tank against, right? Like, because
Yeah.
yeah,
I want to see. I definitely want to see him get cracked against a good power pressure fighter like Rayo, because there's some guys who can crack, but they're only one or two shots and they're going to admire their work. Rayo can string those punches together and really get in there and get in Tank's face and kind of bully him around the ring a little bit. It would be a great
I mean,
matchup.
shoot. I mean, we ran into Rayo back in March, and I have no idea how he makes 135 pounds.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, bro, what? Like, that's crazy. But 135, I think there are good fights for him there. I'd like to see him against it's the fight mentioned for Tank, Isak Cruz, but Rayo Isak Cruz would be good.
Oh yeah.
If fights maybe not likely because of promoters, but like Rayo and William Cepeda, like, man, there's some good fights there.
Oh, without a doubt, man. And the thing we talked about it all the time, losses shouldn't be a marketing factor anymore in looking at fighters and their records. I mean, Rayo's got two, but look at how the losses came, both competitive, and he's avenged that one in as good of a fashion.
He had not even competitive. He had both guys down, right?
Yeah.
Like almost out. So yeah, I don't think you kind of just overlook Rayo's loss. At least I do. Like he could pop, and yeah.
Yeah, I think now we're getting into the era where you're going to see less and less undefeated fighters, but you're going to see a whole lot more action-packed fights and a lot more top-tier competition, because if these guys are losing, that means they're testing themselves and they're getting better, which is what you want from these fighters too.
When you look at Rayo's record, like these losses are early in his career. It's not like he was hand-fed a bunch of fighters, got to 20-0, and then the first guy he fought, he lost. I can see,
Yeah.
No, he's in early, young, took a couple L's, but obviously getting better, obviously has everything there. So, yeah, I mean, definitely record is deceiving in his instance, which is probably going to happen, as guys are taking on better fights early in their careers.
Right, and it's a great time frame to be a boxing fan. There's a lot of entertaining matchups to be made, and these guys are willing to put it all on the line now, which you gotta love it, man. The other big fight from the weekend, of course, Jesus M in the comments, and real quick, shout out to everybody in the comments here tonight. That Rayo KO was nasty. Rayo definitely needs to run it back with De Los Santos. I agree. That's going to be a banger of a rematch. Tank does need to step up in competition. He doesn't even go after the top in the division. Hey, can't argue that. And going into the next fight, Bam systematically broke Sonny Edwards down. Bam picked the shots. Credit to Sonny, was countering Bam that threw Bam off. Hey, that was a fun fight, man. I tuned in a little bit late, which our guest is going to be on in a little bit, Rachel Charles. I was watching her live stream the fight and just commentate on it and whatnot, and so I was watching from her stream, and bro, that was an action-packed fight, man. Again, great weekend in boxing. I was bummed I wasn't able to make it to Glendale to watch it, but what'd you think of that one?
Oh man, that was a good fight. I thought Sonny Edwards presented himself well. I kind of sleep on all the British dudes, the Euro bums, but man, he could box. He was like he's a legit Euro bum. And it made for a fun fight, man. A lot of back and forth. But yeah, like I don't know who said it in the comments. Oh, Jesus, but yeah, he just broke him down, man. Like Bams just seemed to have more power, more a little bit sharper. But it was a fun fight, and then a nasty knockdown too, right? When you fall face first like that. Bam's that dude.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I was actually surprised. The one thing about a lot of the European fighters, the one thing that they can do and do well is survive. You're going to see a lot of club fighters out there in the UK with 50, 60, 100 losses even. But them dudes do not get knocked out. They know how to survive. So I was actually surprised and very impressed that Bam was able to actually get him out, because Sonny's he's not a bum by any means at all. And, that was a tough motherfucker too, just like Colbert. And, he made it as far as he could. I didn't think he was going to get stopped at all. And, shout out to him.
Especially like at 112 pounds, right? You don't see really guys really hurting. I mean, yeah, they so many punches they get cut up in that, but Bam, I think, has legit power at 112, which is crazy. And the fight ended. It was kind of anticlimactic, right? Because it was such a nice knockdown, but it was right at the end of the round. And then Sonny Edwards he whispered something. I don't know who that was to his trainer, and then that guy waved it off. So I don't know if he told him to stop it or what, but really, that fight was over. Like, if he was going to go back out there, he was going to get hurt. And I think he probably realized that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of options for Bam though, right? Because he seems to be able to float between those weight classes, and he hasn't been at a weight class where we haven't seen the power. So I think he's got to go up and fight Estrada or even a Chalk, Chocolatito. Just get another name, another belt. Like, the dude's young, and man, lots of talent there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That, again, the sky's the limit for him as far as options and everything. He's definitely got the ball in his hand.
I do think it's crazy. I think Sergio Mora was saying, and someone else, they were calling for Inoue by the end of next year. I don't know, but Inoue at 122, like, can he come back down? Or, I mean, Inoue, like, I guess guys lots smaller than him are calling him out, and then other people want Inoue to fight Tank. But I do think that's a big ask of Bam to fight Inoue, right? Like, he's at a weight class 10 pounds higher right now and can go higher. But I did see I think Sergio Mora and Manic saying, "Oh, that's the fight to be made." I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think right now, slowly but surely, and I think after the end of this month, or after next week, actually, already, it's December 26th is his fight. I think Inoue is going to be that guy that everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants a Canelo fight. Everybody wants a Tank fight. Everybody's going to want an Inoue fight, and he's going to be in that same position where they don't accept offers, they send offers, because he's going to have the ball in his court, and he's going to be that much of a star. And with the machine of Top Rank behind him, it's only going to amplify that even more, I think. If we get him to the States, though, that would be great, because he's a huge star, outside of the country, especially where he's from in Japan. But I'm sure in other places, they seem to really get behind their fans. The fans get behind whoever they're supporting, whether it's musicians, sports stars, whatever. They get behind him a whole lot more in other places than they do down here. But if he comes to the States and starts performing, it's a wrap for him. And
you just need to run the guy's highlight reel in his style and the knockouts that he produces. I think if you're a fan of the sport, you're gonna want to watch him, right? Maybe you're rooting against them, maybe you're rooting for him, but you're gonna want to watch him because of what he brings to the table.
Yeah, and it's a good point. It's like Loma and Prince Nassim Hamed. Prince Nassim Hamed, when he came to the States and started performing, bro, it is through the roof. He just shot way the hell up there, man, and he was entertaining everything. That's the one thing about Inoue is he doesn't have the Prince Nassim Hamed persona, but he's got that Mike Tyson effect, and people are they're gonna want to see that no matter what.
We got the comment saying Inoue is like too big, and I agree, man. I'm saying that's what Sergio Mora and I think Mannix were throwing out. And then, man, that goes into the whole thing of why I don't like boxing commentators, right? They kind of just cheerlead for their fighter, and it becomes too much at times, right? Like, Bam just won another belt at 112, but now you're like saying he could beat the 122, maybe pound for pound number one guy in the sport. It's like, just relax, man. Like, let him go up and fight Estrada or whatever. But yeah, sometimes the cheerleading from these network guys is just too much.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And it's certain commentators, but I'm with you. I mean, there's some that I respect, and some I'm like, what's the guy's name I was just talking about over the weekend? He's a great broadcaster, Um,
Ariel.
Ariel, yeah, I don't know what his last name is, but he's a great broadcaster. But with boxing, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he comes from a different sport, and shout out to him, right? Like he's expanding he could work this now. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's he's entertaining, he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't really know boxing per se. So that's my only gripe with Ariel.
He could learn though, man. I mean, maybe you learn. It takes time, but no, not to get off the topic. Bam put on a great performance, and hopefully see him, early in 24 against. I would love to see him against Estrada.
Yeah, and Bam doesn't have his man strength developed yet either, which is crazy. And to that point, I don't think.
Yeah, what is he? He's like 23 years old, something like.
Yeah,
and he's doing work on these guys.
Yeah, big time. What up, Nibs? Welcome to the show. I know you're a big fan, bro. I would be too if I worked on Friday nights. But hey, the other. So between the three fights, Bam, Rayo. Actually, I mean, there's David Morrell. I don't know how I consider that one. I can't really consider that one a knockout. It was a referee stoppage against the rope, so I'm not going to consider that in the knockouts of the weekend contenders. But Jake Paul, what'd you think about that, bro? That was great.
Jake Paul, man. Hey, you can't teach one punch knockout power, right?
No.
He fought someone that I had never heard of prior to being announced, but he had a boxing record, right? The little thing going around was, he was a Golden Glove winner. So, someone, if we have our guest here.
We have our guest. Well, I'll let you get back to that. We'll circle back to Jake Paul, but I want to introduce everybody to Rachel Charles. Rachel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. How
I'll
you
let
doing?
you introduce yourself. You
I don't want to.
You have to, Rachel.
I'm all of a sudden shy.
Rachel, as much as you've done, how are you shy?
Right? I know, right? Oh my God. Because you know what it is? I talk all kinds of crap and then I'm on the spot and I'm like, I don't want to say anything. Nah, I'm just Rachel Charles.
You're more than Rachel Charles.
Publicist, manager, getting into the motivational speaking world. Been in boxing for just over 20 years, represented just about everyone. And that's it. I'm from England.
And she's being
you were kind of I guess instrumental.
I was
saying you were kind of instrumental in kind of the move of boxing to Saudi Arabia. Is that correct?
Well, a little bit. I represent Ziad Al Mayouf, who is a Saudi boxer. So he was the first Saudi boxer to go pro, like Saudi boxer. And he fought over in Jeddah. He made his pro debut in Jeddah last year on the Joshua Usyk card. And he fought there again in February. So yeah, we've been to Saudi a couple of times. It's pretty cool. Happy to be a part of it, actually.
First woman to do that, too.
First woman to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's why.
Rachel's being too humble. She's worked for
I am being humble.
She's worked with everybody from freaking Stevie Wonder to James Toney. Like, Rachel's the man. Let's just say that. Rachel's the man.
I'm the man. But so what's going on, fellas? What's going on? What you doing?
we just got done talking about Sonny Edwards and Bam Rodriguez. But since you just joined, and I know you were hurting from that one, let's hear your thoughts on Sonny Edwards and Bam.
Look, listen, man. You know what? I probably would never be able to go back to England again. But I knew the kid was going to lose. I mean, it was it was obvious he was going to lose. I knew he was going to lose. He was just too gobby. And but that's typical Brits for you. But I just knew it. I knew he was going to lose, and I feel like he lost bad. Like freaking head. Did you see the knockout? Like he fell and then did a little jerk.
Yeah. He headbutted
the canvas. Oh my God, that was. You know what? I instantly thought about Ricky Hatton and Mayweather, right? When he bounced off the corner pads. I'm like, oh bloody hell, man, that was awful. But I knew the kid was going to lose. It just wasn't I could just feel it. I don't know. I can't even really explain it, but I knew it wasn't good. I wasn't rooting for him, but I did feel sorry for him, of course, because he's a fellow Brit and he's a boxer. You've got to, you have to have some margin of respect for these guys. But I think sometimes when you're talking too much crap, it's you just overcompensating for something else. So that's what I think. The better
you think
man
that was
won.
more on kind of what he brought to the table, or did you think no, he was going to lose because of maybe how special Bam is?
I don't really follow Bam that much. I just go on. It's weird. I just go on a gut instinct. I can look at someone and be like, "Oh, they're going to lose." I can sometimes call the round as well. You know what I mean? But I feel like, look, Sonny Edwards. I think this was his first time fighting over here, right in America, and I think it might just be a handful of times since a fight that he's fought since he signed with Matchroom. Rachel is a legend. Oh shit, who's that? Oh god, who is that saying that? I don't even know. I gotta be careful who's gonna log on. But I just feel like he came over. He's in America. He's on the big stage, right? Everyone wants to fight in America, and I think that he was just trying to be very bloaty, very English, very British, right? And I think the nerves got to him. I think the whole week really got to him. And he was too preoccupied with other shit. I think there's a way to shit talk, and then there's not a way to shit talk. You know what I mean? And I've been around some of the best of them. When they do it, they get down. James Toney for sure. But I just think this kid, it was all wrong for him, and I just knew it. I was like, oh yeah, he's a bit too gobby. He's not going to make it, and he didn't make it.
He was a tough.
It's crazy.
Tough
sometimes the talk, kind of, you see the talk kind of affects another fighter, but I didn't feel like he was really getting anything out of Bam. So it's like all that.
Yeah, he was just winding himself up. Yeah, he was just winding himself up, and it's like he overpsyched himself because Bam's like, I don't give a shit what the. Probably couldn't hardly understand some of the words he was saying anyway, right? And then he's probably like, I don't give a fuck. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear. It's fine.
Because I swear I'm bad. But but he knew, like Bam knew what he can. He knows. He's confident. He knows. He doesn't have to be flashy. I really feel like it's those fighters that are quiet. Those are the ones you got to be worried about. It's the other ones that are blustering and running the mouths. And again, like, look, Sonny Edwards is trying to make a name for himself. He's gonna. I'd like to see that again. I'd love to see them fight again. I think that'd be brilliant. But he was just too much of all the other stuff, like all the steroids and this and that. It's like, mate, just concentrate on the freaking fight, bro. You've already got the fight. You're not talking yourself into a fight. You've got the fight. You can't talk yourself into a win. And it did nothing. It didn't even put a dent in Bam. So,
but to his credit, I would say, coming over here, I did find it, I guess, entertaining, and he did put on a good fight, right? Like, he was there to fight, so, maybe he gained some fans, right? Like, he definitely wasn't going to win the fight, didn't win the fight, but I think maybe he accomplished something in gaining fans.
Look, I think that you have to respect a fighter that's going to come in and stay in that ring till the death, because that kid was practically dead, right?
Yeah.
And so, and he put on a show because he was in America, and I get that and I respect that. But that's all he really had was like, I saw his knockouts, 4 knockouts? It's like, bro, 4? Are you freaking shitting me right now? Like 4 knockouts, and you're running your mouth like you've only got 4 freaking knockouts. What are you bringing in? Like a freaking 2x4? It's just like doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, you've got to respect these fighters that come to America. They're on the big stage. They chip into the American fan base. Brits are known. We're a tough bunch. We fight in the streets, right? So that's kind of like our whole thing. Brits are real gritty, and yeah, he showed his Brit grit, but he had to. He wasn't gonna quit. You know what I mean? He couldn't, obviously, even though he was getting absolutely rinsed. But but yeah, you've got to respect those kids. I respect all of them, but the better man won.
And he did have one of my favorite post-fight tweets. It was he just put, "Yo, Bam beat my ass." So.
There you go. See. There you go.
Humble in defeat. The other guy that got laid out, and we talked about it on Saturday night. If you watched it yet, The Chris Colbert and Rayo knockout. Did you see that, or the fight itself?
Oh, that was PBC, right? That's when
Yeah.
you went on my okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I
watch
forgot
it.
Rachel doesn't watch PBC.
I watch PBC fights, but and I was quite shocked to hear that Robert Guerrero and freaking Andre Berto fought.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking, what am I hearing things?
I thought it was like an AI fight, right? Because like I found out about it a week before, and I was like, "Is this for real?" But
I didn't even hear about it. And honestly, to be honest with you, if that's all that Showtime and PBC can give us, then fuck off, man, because that was junk. That was a piece of shit, man. I swear to God. If that's all you can give your fans for all of their loyalty for all these years, and everyone that, when HBO went out of business and everyone was like having these, withdrawal symptoms, and we all went over to Showtime, and now Showtime's gone, and this is all you can do, like, then fuck off, man. And you know what? Not even that, but it's like the ending of a series, right? I was watching the Peaky Blinders. I was so invested in the Peaky Blinders because they're from Birmingham, right? My hometown. And then the last season was shit. And I'm like, you freaking, after all these years and all these seasons, you give us a bag of shit. And that's what Showtime did. They were like, we're already gone, like, we're out of here. So they just throw anyone on, and they threw Robert Guerrero and Andre. And I love Andre, but come on, man. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was being loyal to their fighters more so than being loyal to the fans, right? Like give them one more payday, I guess. No.
I don't think so. They've been retired for a really long time. If they were going to do something, they would have done it. This was just like, we've got a gap in the card. Who can we grab? Throw them in, and they're on their way. But I thought it was junk. I wouldn't have watched it anyway.
I was surprised to see that it made it as the TV opener. To be honest, that's what surprised me. I thought it would be one of the non-televised, because Victor Ortiz fought last year or 2 years off TV on a David Benavidez on the card, and that was non-televised.
Yeah, but PBC for you.
The crazy part was Robert Guerrero post fight saying that he was ready for another world title run. I'm like, come on, man. I think even Jim Gray said, "Are you serious?" Yeah. It's a little awkward. Like, come on.
You know what? I used to, of course, I spent so much time with fighters, active and retired. And a lot of them will say, like, because I'll be like, come down to the gym, hang out. They're like, no, because if we hear the bell, we're going to want to get in the ring. So I think it's really, hard to turn it off after you've been so active and successful for so many years. And then you're retired. Now, what are you going to do? And not all boxers can be trainers. So then you're kind of sitting there and your heart tells you that I've got one more in me. It always tells you that. But your body is like, no, I don't, So, I'm not surprised that Robert Guerrero said that. He felt good. He hadn't fought for it in forever. Of course he's going to feel great, you know?
And like Guerrero's, I think they mentioned it during the telecast. They said Guerrero or Andre Berto wanted to fight because he wanted some get back, right? Because he lost. They said Guerrero said, I just like to fight. Right, and so you can't be mad at that, right? Like if he's in the gym and he's gonna get paid, like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not their fault. It's not the fighter's fault. It's the TV. It's the TV that to me is a slap in the face to the fans on the way out the door. Putting on that, truly, like, legit, right? And I just feel like, what was the point of it? That was not something that everyone was running home to turn on the telly and having a fight party for. You know what I mean?
It was, like I said, we I think found out about it a week before or 2 weeks before, and I was like, "Is this for real?"
They kept it quiet because they didn't want anyone to know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised, that was actually going to be. And again, like I said, I was surprised that it made it to the TV because I knew the fight, but I was like, all right, I wish I could watch it. And then when I saw it was the opener, I was like, well, I guess we're watching it.
like Rachel, like you said, and I think we talked about this last week or something. For ending over 30 years in boxing, come on, give us a card that should, even just paying respect to boxing on Showtime, like end with something great, right?
Yeah.
The Rayo Colbert fight, that was a good fight. I wouldn't mind that as an opener. But like even the main event, Morrell, I didn't watch that because I knew Morrell was gonna wash this dude.
Right.
They could have showed some respect to everything that they've done.
Yeah.
And it's like the best card that they could have.
Yeah. They should have got in the vault and dug out Diego Corrales. They should have pulled out some of those gems that they've got, and put on like a whole thing of just back to back great fights. But you know what? It just goes to show that no one gives a shit what the boxing fan wants, really. They say they do, but they don't, because this is what they did. This is what they gave us. And it's like, where is the loyalty? That's like working on a job for freaking 25, 30 years and you walk out there with a freaking Starbucks gift card. Like, what I just gave you my whole life, you know what I mean? And I really do. I think that it was just not very well thought out, and it was just filling in the gaps, and it was very what's it called? Slap something.
Slap in the face. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a slap in the face, but it was just kind of slapped together, very mishmashy bullshit. And honest to God, I mean, I wouldn't watch another one. I wouldn't watch another one of their PBC's fights. I'd be like, no, this is what you're coughing over, then I don't want it. Plenty of other places to go to watch really good fights. But again, it also shows you that they can't fight anybody else. They're all fighting each other like fucking crabs at the bottom of a barrel, man. It's crazy.
Well,
anyway,
one thing we talked about earlier too was, as far as making fights, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Gervonta Davis's team basically saying to Devin Haney's team and Eddie Hearn that, when we're ready for the fight, you'll get an offer from us and it'll go directly to Haney. It's not going to go through Hearn or anybody else.
Wow.
Haney's team, of course, saying they sent an offer to Tank, but their response is we don't accept offers. We're the A side. What is your thought on that, especially being an insider and all the experience you have? When you hear stuff like that, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Wow. I kind of like it. That's so Tank. That's so Tank. You know what I mean? And I like it. I actually do like it. Because I sometimes, promoters that get in the middle or management that gets in the middle can screw up a fight. You know what I mean? So maybe just talking camp to camp and then let the lawyers deal with the contracts might be a good thing. Maybe we'll see him in the ring sooner than perhaps we would. You know what I mean? But I love the fight. I think it's going to be absolutely freaking brilliant. Tank is a freaking tank. Haney, he's great. He's a great kid, he's a great kid and he's going to just get better and better and better. But that's definitely a fight that I would absolutely sit and watch and just, I think it'd be brilliant. But I think that sometimes, just from past experiences, management can get in the way and then a fight will fall through because the manager has stuck his feet in the mud and said, no, we want this. And then the fighter finds out that he's lost out on a payday because his manager got greedy. You know what I mean? So you can't let that happen. And Tank clearly is trying to set his boundaries. Like I'm the king. You come to me, and I like it. But Haney is as well because his dad thinks so highly of his son, right? Yeah. Obviously. So they're like, well, no, we're the king. So now you got this going on, and I think it'll be it's gonna bubble up to a really good scrap. I think. It's gonna be very personal.
I really think Haney's kind of riding that momentum because he looks so good just recently. Like he's riding that momentum, like and he can, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
Rachel, I would ask you, what is the reason that fights don't get made? Is it managers, like you said, or like why don't we get the fights that we all want to see?
Managers, promoters. It's promoters, right? Because they're the ones that actually do call the shots, right? I mean, they're the ones that are responsible for putting the fight card together. And I think that, when I first started out, when I worked for Dan Goose, and that's how I got my start. And, I used to sit, I had a freaking bird's eye view of that man just making deal after deal after deal, all before freaking lunch, big fights. And he'd be on the phone to DK, or and Bob Arum and all these greats, of from back in the day. They're like the big guys, and they'd all be arguing back and forth, and there'd be a lot of, shite talking. But the fight got made. And now today, it's like, well, I don't like him, so my fighter isn't going to go over there, and this isn't going to happen. So we've lost out on some really, really, really good fights simply because the promoters don't like each other. It's that is just, and the person that loses the most is the fighter, because then he just sits on the shelf while these guys try to figure out what they're doing, what's going on. You know what I mean? And that's just not fair. They're not doing their fighter a service. You know what I mean? And to me, if I was a fighter, I'd be like, get me out of my contract. I want to go somewhere where everyone crosses the street and does business with each other. And these guys just flat out refuse. I mean, you got Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren that absolutely hated each other a couple of months ago. Now they're in Saudi together this week. You know what I mean? Money, it's money, right? And it's something that they couldn't afford to ignore, because I think the whole world, the boxing world, would have just roasted the life out of them. But it's promoters that aren't getting along, refuse to get along. And I think if you don't get along with this guy, let your fighter go and let him go fight. It's not about you two. It's about this kid here trying to develop his record, his career, trying to get into the ratings, you know, trying to get a belt, do whatever the fighter's goal is. And when you sign with a promoter, they're like, oh, you're family, oh, you're this, and oh, we're going to take care of you, and oh, you're going to be a champion. I'm just sitting there like, friggin' hey, man, this is one big bullshit and rank fest, man. Because you walk out of that office, and then the next minute, you know, you're not fighting because they don't get along with wherever your opponent is. It's not fair. You
Agree.
know?
I'm gonna segue then into a comment here too, and shout out Gritty. I didn't know it was announced months ago, but you got to slide up with the news sometimes, man. But real quick, I'm gonna touch on this. Who else is putting on better fight cards? Rachel, Matchroom is shit. Golden Boy's had a terrible year, and Top Rank has completely gotten out of the big fight game. And he continues to say, boxing business vets got to stop ignoring the fact that this is a long-running issue in boxing, and no one is putting on good cards on a consistent basis. I
agree with you. I agree completely. No one's putting on a good card. No one. Consistently, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's all just bullshit. And if Guerrero Berto was going to be on an exhibition with Mayweather, what does that freaking tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Right.
But I mean, it's even as a boxing fan, right? Like, you got to take some of the blame on the boxing fan too, because boxing fans have became like fans of promoters almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
true.
Oh, I any top ranked fighter will beat PBC fighter, any PBC, and then maybe you see it more with PBC, like any PBC guy is better than this. It's like, me, I just want to see the best fight the best, right? Yeah. Like, and as a fan, I would say like some of the blame's on us too, right? Because if we keep just saying like, oh, I only like this promoter, that's not benefiting anybody. So
then stop saying it. You know what I mean? And demand better fights. Start buying the PPV, the jump PPV. Don't buy it. You know, don't watch freaking the Jake Pauls of the world, not freaking KSIs and all these. Don't get me. I swear to God.
Oh, that's my boy, Rachel.
Oh, I don't know. Hey, Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul might be a future cruiserweight world champ.
You know what? I gotta go. I gotta be in freaking Timbuktu in an hour. Friggin' hey, man, stop it! It's bullshit. You know what? Oh my God! Now you pissed me off, dude. Take that shit off. I want to see what you look like. I'm gonna jump you in the street, dude. But no, I think look, the fan. At the end of the day, it's the consumer, and if you're not getting what you want, you have to speak loud enough, and you will force these guys, because we're the driving force, right? We're the money. So if we're not paying, it's going to hit them where it hurts, and they will have to put on some good fights. I think that the standards today are so low. I mean, look, Devin Haney is coming up, which is great, is exciting. Tank's exciting. You know, Ryan Garcia. You know, you've got some of these kids coming up. And they are about what the times are now, because when I started out, you know, like we had James and Paul Williams and Chrissy Ariola and, you know, Floyd and like all these guys coming up, and it was a different world back then. And social media wasn't a big thing either. So, you know, but social media now has taken over, and it's just, I think it's just, I personally think it's a friggin' mess, but it's where we're at now in the world.
I mean, you think back, right? Like, imagine if we had social media when James Toney was in his prime. Like, James Toney would be a multi-million, like he'd be the guy.
Oh yeah.
And even his skills would back that up too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's different times for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. I just don't know the solution to get boxing to where we need. I guess, like you said, demand. It's on the consumer to demand what we want and not settle for less. Really.
That's exactly it. You've got to let these guys know. They, it's like give us, you want our money. Paying for a PPV is what, $79 or whatever it is. It's a lot of friggin' money, right? Not everyone has that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money, but you give them your money, which is taken from your table or your kids or some shoes or whatever it's going to be, whatever you spend that money on. It's your play money, right? And then they give you shit. Yeah. Wait, if you went to the mall and you bought something from the shop and it broke, you can take it back and get a refund. This you can't. So if we start demanding, like, give us good fights, like, come on, we want to see this one, want to see that one, and you start to hit them on the bottom line, then things will change. But it won't happen until that happens. It has to happen, because otherwise we're going to go into next year, the year after, and there's, you've got your same little group of guys that are fighting, and there's no room for the ones coming up either. You know what I mean? Because you've got these cliques, all these little cliques are all, and then there's all these other kids coming up that don't even get a look in.
It's true, and there's a lot of guys that could benefit from being, in other promotional camps because of the weight division that they're in. However, their promoters locked it up. I mean, middleweight, super middleweight. I mean, it's kind of a mess with the talent pool and the guys that aren't able to fight because of who they're affiliated with right now.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I feel like we just, as boxing fans, we got to support the good fights and maybe not just your favorite fighter, right?
That's exactly.
Because go ahead.
Sorry. No, go on.
I was going to say, you can support your favorite fighter. And I'm going to throw Tank. We've been talking about Tank. There's a lot of Tank supporters, and they'll ride with Tank no matter what. But at the end of the day, the fight is bigger. It should be bigger than the fighter, right? So if we demand the big fights, I mean, then maybe that changes things, right? So they can't just sell us Tank versus whoever.
Exactly. And I think that, that there needs to be more support on these kids that are in the gym that I see every day, that are down at Wildcard, down the street, at the Blue Moon Gym or wherever it's going to be. And these kids are busting their asses off day in and day out, barely can afford gym dues or bus fare or gas for their car, whatever it is, they're the ones that need the support the most, because they are going to be coming up, not all of them, but some of them, of course. But there's a lot of talent that goes unnoticed because everybody's over here on the shiny objects.
That's true. Speaking of shiny objects, I mean, we've got.
Oh, shit. I thought somebody made a comment.
Well, I will touch on this comment real quick. David Benavidez saying David Morrell is talking a bunch of shit about him. Benavidez should listen to himself and his father when they're talking shit about Canelo. And that is not a way they ask for a fight. I mean, I guess they are kind of doing the same thing. I mean, you guys have any thoughts on that one there?
I can't wait to see David and Canelo. I can't wait. I swear to God, I can't wait. I hope I don't die before that happens. They need to resuscitate me.
Yeah, no. It's same, like that's the fight I want to see. Like, I think David Morrell's great. I think all that. But I want to see Dave Benavidez Canelo first, and maybe Morrell beats them both. I don't know, but I feel like Benavidez and Canelo have kind of, worked their way towards a fight against each other. That's the fight I want to see. I hope it happens. And, they're aware of Morrell. I think everybody, if you're a 168 pounder, you're well aware of David Morrell. And hopefully he gets his shot. But I want to see Benavidez Canelo.
I want to see Benavidez Canelo so flipping bad. I think David Benavidez is Benavidez.
Oh, yeah?
I freaking love that kid. That kid freaking punches like a freaking pissed off mule. He can punch. He was in our house. We had a camp house out in San Diego, and he was there for like 4 months. So I got to watch him. I already knew him and his dad. I know his dad really well. But I got to watch him train, and just everything about him is just top notch, man. This kid is a freaking badass. I cannot wait for that fight. It's going to be brilliant. And you know what? Like, look, people might say, oh, well, he's not ready to fight Canelo or this, or he doesn't deserve it. I think he deserves it. People said the same when Canelo fought Mayweather, and look what Canelo went on to become. So, if it's a rite of passage, then so be it. But Benavides, man, I'm putting my money on that kid because he's something else. He's special, very special. I like him a lot.
You've been around a lot of guys.
I think I'll go to Canelo just as a fan. A huge Benavides fan too. But like that's the fight you have to see, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they just, and I feel like when you're a champion, there's no not being ready or whatever. If you're a champion, then you should be ready for everybody. So I think David Benavides is ready. I think Canelo's ready. I just hope it happens sooner than later, and maybe that's just being greedy. Like I want to see it as soon as possible.
I think it will happen. I mean, they're both in the same stable now.
Right.
I think it will happen. I actually think it will happen Cinco de Mayo, and I think it's just going to blow the roof off wherever they put it. It's just going to be. I don't think it belongs in Vegas. So I think it should actually go to Mexico. But then, all the Vegas fan, the guys that could get to Vegas, they would miss out. But I think picking a venue and location would be quite difficult because it's, how do you service both fan bases? But they'll come no matter what. They're going to be there.
The football stadium in Vegas, I think, would probably be a perfect.
Oh man,
yes. Man, they got Allegiant. The Raiders, where the Raiders play. I've been waiting to see a fight there. Dana White.
Stadium.
Yeah, Dana White talks about the Sphere. And he's gonna have the biggest combat. No, I think you can fill up Allegiant Stadium with Benavides Canelo. And I just hope it happens, though.
It will. You're giving me goosebumps, man. I think it will happen. I mean, that's a dream come true, isn't it? Really?
Right. They keep saying September. I'm like, shoot, why not? Let's do it May and September. Like, I'll see a rematch. Like, Canelo has a 3-fight deal. He got one out of the way. Let's Benavides. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, me too.
The other dream fight, which we'll segue into the card this weekend, but Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, I feel like it's finally going to happen. Depending on what happens this weekend, I feel like that's finally going to happen. Real quick, we'll just preview those. We'll talk about those two fights before we talk about the other fights on that card. But Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin and Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. What do you guys? I'll let Rachel kick it off. I know she has a kind of experience around those guys too.
It's they're all right. Doesn't get me going, But again, it's a stepping stone towards AJ and Wilder, and I've got Wilder all friggin' day long. I'm never going to be able to go back to England. Oh,
squad.
I got Wilder all day, man. He's gonna rinse the life out of AJ. But we'll get through this weekend. I mean, I love Joseph Parker. I think he's great. Otto Wallin, okay, whatever. But to me, it's like, they're not exciting enough for me. You know what I mean? I think they'll be actually quite a bit duds. I don't think it's going to be that exciting, to be honest with you. AJ better not lose though, otherwise that's it for him.
And I think I'm the same feeling. Like, you get the butterflies when the bell's about to ring, and for me it's just like, hey, neither of you better lose, right? Like, AJ don't lose, Wilder don't lose, and we're gonna finally get the fight that we want. I think in March, right? They've already set a date for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm looking forward to this fight, but I'm just looking forward to them not losing. Like, just do it.
I'm just looking forward for it to be over. Like, this freaking hurry up and get this shit over so we can get to March. Absolutely. I'm with you, man. And then, of course, Fury Usyk, of course, which is going to be another one. But
I feel like even though Fury Usyk's for the champ, right? Like, undeniable, that's the champ. It's kind of like Wilder AJ is the fight that I've just been wanting to see.
100%.
And I'm 100%. I've been saying day one, right? Whether I had any reason to say so or not, but I was like, Wilder's gonna knock him out cold. But I just want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to be there. I'm gonna try to be there.
That one's gonna be Saudi as well.
They need to do that in England, Wembley Stadium.
Oh yeah.
Listen, man.
Give us an Anthony Joshua or a Deontay Wilder story. I know you've got some. Definitely.
Well, you know what? I met Anthony Joshua. I didn't even know who he was, but I met him when I went over to England for Prize Fighter, and he fought on that card, and I didn't know who he was. I was like, he was sitting there, kind of, just in his own little world. Didn't really know much about him, to be honest with you. But I did run into. I've known Deontay kind of very loosely over the years, very loosely. But then when I was in Riyadh in February, he was there with his woman, and they were guests at the Jake Paul Fury fight. And obviously they were there negotiating, doing their thing. But I ran into him in the lobby, and he walked past me and he recognized me. So of course we start talking. Listen, that kid, his head is on, and it's on tight. He is a different person. All that roughness that he had, that not, well, for lack of a better word, bitter, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like just that gruff, gone. He's so freaking zen, which is scary to me. I think I would quite prefer the bark, but he was just so freaking cool. And I was just so happy for him that, he'd had a rough time of it in and out the ring. And he just seems to have found his sweet spot. And I think that's going to make him even more dangerous.
Yeah. I think I've always said, like, man, Deontay gets a lot of hate, right? Like, he can't box. He doesn't need to do any of that, because he has a punch that's like generational power.
Yeah.
Rarely, if ever, seen. So
absolutely, I totally agree. It's like, who gives a shit about freaking finesse?
Right.
I've got this, right? I mean, it takes one, and he's got it.
He only needs to land it once, and he even landed it against Fury, right? Like Fury got up somehow. That's still one of the most amazing moments that I've seen. Like, I don't know how he got up from that, but like Deontay, he lands that punch, and most people, or 99% of people, don't get up from that, and it's amazing.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think that because it's that one powerful punch, he doesn't need to do anything fancy. He doesn't need to, because he'll wind his punches up, right? I freaking hate that shit. It's like, dude, come on. But I mean, I don't think he needs to do any of that. I mean, I like him. I think he's a solid guy, and I think that he a lot of these guys, they get caught up with what's going on outside of the ring, and it affects their performance inside of the ring. And I feel like Deontay, between those Fury fights, kind of maybe got, things got a bit crazy in his life, and took away his some of his focus. But I'm telling you, he's locked in. He's laser locked. I'm excited for him.
Interesting. Yeah. That's good to know, because that goes a long way when you're just at peace and whatnot.
That's it. Well, see, but this is the thing. He's been at the absolute look. When he first came into boxing, they're like, oh, this lanky kid. And again, he's got no finesse, his footwork, his head movement, none of that. He was already kind of like, no one really believed in him. And then all of a sudden, he's knocking fuckers out, right? But then, he went all the way to the top. And then when you come down, that's when you start really seeing life and what's valuable, and who around you want the best for you. And I think it's those lessons that can have you change gears. And then you find yourself and you realize, okay, I don't need half of these freaking people. This is, I know what I need. I'm going to go get what I need. And then that's going to make him, I think we're going to see something really special out of him, because he's been to the top and he's been to the bottom. You know what I mean? And he understands it a lot better now than perhaps he did before. Before, he's flipping burgers, trying to make a living to feed his family. And now, he's got riches beyond his wildest dreams. And I think with that comes a certain, what's the word, like, it's like a false kind of security, you know what I mean? Because you always feel like you're going to be invincible. And he isn't, but his headspace, you know what I mean? And could he have been told, could he have been told, like, bro, calm down, or let's not do this, let's not. I don't think he could have been told between those two fights. And now I think he realizes, okay, let me get back to why I started boxing. Let me get back to that flipping burgers mentality for good,
And that's scary for all opponents, because, even his lowest of the lows, like, bro, you knocked down Tyson Fury. I think in every fight they fought. Tyson Fury arguably could beat everybody throughout history, right? Just because he's 6'9", he's so. But Deontay Wilder had him down in the first fight, almost had him out. So, if someone locks in from that point, like if that's their low and then they lock in from that, like, hey, Joseph Parker, you might have a bad night this week.
Joseph Parker is absolutely going to have a bad night. I think he's going to be gone. He's not even going to make it through the whole fight. You know what I mean? And because Wilder's going to let us all know he's back, so he's going to give him that monster KO. That's how it's going down, because he's going to let us all know, like, I'm back.
And how do you train for that, right? Because like we know Joseph Parker trains with Tyson Fury. Hey, you could do whatever you want. Nobody could train for Deontay Wilder's punch, and that's what's so crazy, right? Like, you could train
not Tyson Fury. You can train anyway.
For punches, you could train for maybe getting hit, but you haven't felt that punch and attempt until you're in the ring and get hit. That's
It's like you can take every the Klitschko, wasn't it the Klitschko's that used to drink like donkey pee or something? Like was it the Klitschko's? Was it the Klitschko's? Anyway, you have to look that up. But they were like, we drink, whatever. You can do all that, all these little myths and little things, like old wives' tales, but nothing's going to prepare you for to take a punch off of Deontay. His hands are freaking massive, but yeah, I think when you are locked in and you actually don't really have anything to lose because you've kind of been there, done that. That's it, man. Dangerous.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Deontay Wilder, like I said, I think his power is just special, and it's something that we've never seen. I give him a chance against anybody throughout history for that reason, because how do you take that punch, right?
Right.
So I just hope the fight that scares me is the Joshua, right? Because we've seen him I'm like, come on, Anthony. I've never really rooted for Anthony Joshua, but I'm Anthony Joshua's biggest fan right now. Like, win this fight.
What, the fight on Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'll win on Saturday. He's gonna win on Saturday, of course. He's gonna win on Saturday.
But I got that nerves. Like, come on, you please win.
Yeah.
Please.
He's gonna win it. But then when he starts, look at that. But when he starts preparing, when the heart rate's gonna go, and he's questioning himself. He's got a new trainer now. Is he gonna come back here and train with what's his face out of Texas? Is he coming back, or is he gonna be with Ben Davidson? Like, make your freaking mind up. Personally, I think he needs to go back to his Rob McCracken, who's a fellow Brummie like myself, so I'm a bit biased, but he needs to go back. Anthony Joshua, as Deontay has gone back to basics, Anthony Joshua has to do the same.
That's the thing about Anthony Joshua is you mentioned everything you said about Deontay Wilder. He's hit the rock bottom, and it's helped him refocus and recharge and made him more dangerous in a sense. I feel Anthony Joshua has also hit those same bottoms, but it hasn't clicked for him the way it did for Wilder.
Yeah, it hasn't clicked for him because, see, this is the thing. Anthony Joshua, he won a gold medal for England, right, in the Olympics. So that right there puts you at like superstar, right? Then he goes to meet the royal family. He's got like all his little freaking, all the shit that they do. And he was packaged in such a tight way of this clean cut guy. That's not really who he is. And that's okay. But he was packaged wrong. So now for him to change course, it's almost foreign to him, and it's foreign to his people. Like, they don't want it, but they need to let him be who, you know what I mean? Because it's like he eats sandwiches with no crust and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, that's not who you are, So I think he needs to be just rugged and just like, fuck it all. Because I've heard him swear a couple of times, and I'm like, oh my God, he's swearing, like, clutching my pearls, right? But he swears, right? But they don't want him to. I think he's been polished and polished and polished to the point where he's lost himself, and he too has to go back and find that inner grit. And once he's got it, he's going to be all right, but not for Deontay Wilder. He's not going to do it in time. He's going to have flashbacks of Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, 100%. I would think you know, I'm not saying he's done or whatever. I mean, I've probably said that in the past, but like if he fights Deontay Wilder, like that's the cash out match, right? Like that's the fight you're gonna get paid enough to carry you throughout the rest of your life. So I would hope we get Anthony Joshua. Who are you? The fight's made. Be yourself. Deontay Wilder, be yourself, and you know we just get both guys. You know, no protecting anything. No more protecting the brand. I can't say this. Just be yourself, and that's
be yourself. Yeah,
was at his best, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely do. And you know what? Look, I think that the fights for Anthony Joshua, the only fight is Wilder Fury. So he's got to fight Tyson Fury. There is no way that the United Kingdom are going to let either one of those two retire without a fight. So that is going to be the biggest fight that the United Kingdom has ever seen, right? And it's going to be the money that's going to be generated, obviously, everything is going to be off the freaking chains. It's going to be historic. It's going to be a historic night. And then they can ride off into the sunset. Because there's nobody else then for Joshua to fight anyway that doesn't make any sense.
Now, do you think even if Wilder blows him out?
Huh?
Do you think Joshua Fury happens even if Wilder blows him out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. It has to happen. Absolutely. Yeah.
Rachel, I would ask you this, though. Being from Britain, does the Saudi money and what Saudi's doing in boxing, does that take that hugest fight in the UK? Does it take it away from there and put it somewhere where maybe it doesn't belong?
I mean, I would imagine that the Saudis would try to take it over to Riyadh. But that wouldn't happen in the first, 10 months of 2024. So that's ridiculous. And it can't go home. It can't go to Riyadh. It has to go home because that's, you've got two mega freaking giants. They can't fight in Saudi Arabia. It makes no sense. The Saudis can sponsor it if they wanted to, which I'm imagining that they would. But no, that fight belongs in England. If it's anywhere else, then it's like, fuck it. No one, you know what I mean? It's like, again, it's back to what we were talking about at the top of the hour. Like, you're freaking giving us the most historic fight we're ever going to see in our lifetime, probably. And you're taking it over to the desert. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It needs to be in Wembley Stadium in England.
Yeah, and I would hope Fury and Joshua understand the importance of that, right? Maybe it's a few dollars short, but just the event and what we deserve.
Yeah. That's it. I was just going to say they owe it to the fans, and for Anthony to be an Olympian, he's got commendations from the Queen and all that shit. Bring the fight back to your people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to. Same with Tyson Fury. They have to. They know it, and their promoters know it as well. So. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. That it doesn't get any bigger than that at Wembley Stadium. That's the perfect fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect fight, perfect venue, perfect fans. You're gonna have fans coming from. Oh my God! Can you imagine?
Fans out there are crazy too, and that was another thing we were talking about. Is how the fans are so much more supportive outside of the States than they are out here. They let you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite moments was when Ricky Hatton came to fight Floyd, and all the casinos said they sold out of beer. There was no beer available anywhere on the strip. It's like, yo, that's you got to support.
But that's the thing, and that's a really good point, because it's like there were only a few people in boxing history that can have that kind of a Pied Piper effect on their fans. Conor McGregor, Ricky Hatton. That was the first time we ever, to my knowledge, that I'd ever seen it for sure. That kind of a fan base that are going to buy. They used to buy package deals. So it was the flight, the hotel, and the fight ticket, and to come and watch Ricky fight. There was nobody ever in friggin' Manchester when Ricky fought, and that was the first time I'd ever witnessed a fan base that just came in just droves. Then of course Conor McGregor comes along and turns it up a notch, which is great. But But now you don't really see that. And you see these fighters, they crack me up. They're like, oh, I sold out this and I sold out that. And it's like, well, yeah, because of who you're fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, might not be very popular with anyone watching, but can Devin Haney fill an arena? You know what I mean? Can these kids coming up right now fill an arena? I don't think so, right? It's even with Floyd. I did 2 fights with Floyd. One in Portland against Sean Bay Mitchell, and one in Vegas against what's his face? He's in jail now as well. Freaking pervert.
Vladimir.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hopefully they're whooping on that dude now.
Listen, if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have stabbed him myself right in the freaking throat. But I digress. But but Floyd, those tickets, they didn't do very well at all. But then you put Floyd with Oscar De La Hoya through the roof. So it's, you know what I mean? It's all relative, but it's like one person can't. There's not always that one person that can sell out that arena. You have to have the opponent to help.
But isn't that kind of the catch-22, because where maybe Tank sells out arena by himself, now he doesn't want to fight someone that we want to see him against, right? Or Devin Haney, right? Because Tank versus Hector Luis Garcia does big numbers.
Regardless.
So why would he fight someone that we, think could give him a fight?
Well, I think once he gets his calculator out and starts dividing this and that and that and that, it might change his mind a little bit, because these guys are, they're all built into their contracts that they get a portion of the gate anyway. So, if they start thinking a little bit, from that angle, you never know.
Numbers are bigger, your numbers are bigger, and maybe.
Yeah. You get bigger sponsorships and all that, Felix, am I talking too much? I talk too much, don't I?
No, Rachel's entertaining. That's why I hop up on her live the other day, because she just talks crap the whole time too. You think she talks crap on here? You should just hear it on her live.
Well,
she actually kicked me out of it the other day.
No, well, hey, throw out the socials. Follow Rachel. I if you're watching this, you're gonna follow Rachel.
Right. What am I pitching? Just pitching. I just pretty much sit on Instagram these days. I don't really do much of anything else actually. But I'm at pitching. But
I love the comments for you so people can follow you.
Felix came on and then logs off. I said, leave, don't freaking come back, man. That's what I tell all my fellas. Don't freaking come back.
I love it. I had to watch the finale for
you didn't have to do shit. You didn't have to do anything, mate. You should have stayed with me, okay? But that's all right. Whatever. We go too far back for that to come between us, right?
Oh yeah, that was Rachel. Rachel was one of my first introductions, or one of the first connections I made too, as well, and great one to make. We had some awesome, hilarious stories to share.
What was that guy? So for the benefit of Real over here with his bloody balaclava, I swear to God, what bank are we going to rob tonight, love?
I'm with you. You won me over. Whatever you say, I'm in.
I'll do the driving, but I drive very slow. But I've got a Mini Cooper, so we're just like whizzing it out. But so I used to have Julian Ramirez, right? El Cameron. And Felix, who was your man?
Gilbert Elizondo.
Right. So Julian Ramirez is the great nephew of Gennaro Hernandez.
Yes, Chicanito. Yes,
yeah,
I remember.
Right. Yeah, royalty.
Great story here.
So Felix's dude was doing a one-on-one with Julian, and said, "Oh, what would your uncle think? What would you think your uncle would say?" Or something like that, right? He didn't know his uncle had passed away. We were on the floor. We were like just dying because I can't remember. Julian was like, "He's dead" or something like that, right?
It was great because Gibby had no idea. He looked over at Carlos, who's working the camera at the time, and acted as if it was his fault that he asked the question and didn't know that his uncle was dead. Literally, just, so what is your uncle? Does he have any input on your career? And he's like,
hilarious. He's dead. So freaking funny. But
one of the best interview moments ever.
Yeah. Julian took it all in good stride though, so that's good.
Yeah, Rachel's how is Julian?
Julian's good, man. He's busy. He's got like 3 kids, 3 boys. They're cute, just like him, you know. But he's doing really well. He's doing really well.
El Camarón, man. I remember he had a little. He was coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He was he's a really good kid. I loved working with him. We had a lot of fun. He's a really good kid. You know, when you work with certain people and you want to go to work every day and you want to do well for them because they deserve it and they're so appreciative of the small things, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think they're not paying attention to what you actually do for them, and then they say something, oh, they were watching or they were listening. So I had a really good time working with Julian. Really good time.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you realize like boxing is such a tough sport, especially for the fighters in it, right? Like, because there's so much going on behind the scenes that a fan has no idea about, media has no idea about, and they're living their life, and at the same time they got the spotlight on them to perform.
Make weight.
It's just it's a tough sport, and you know, you get kind of the realest of the real, and you know, that's why as a box fan, anyone that steps in the ring, that's where they say like, man, you should appreciate what they do.
Yeah, I definitely would suggest to anyone, go to the gym, move around the ring, either by yourself or with someone, you know, and just move around for 3 minutes and see what it's really like. It's a very tough business to be in. Very tough.
You know what you mentioned too, you know, getting up to go to work and, you know, enjoying it. I'll give you the floor for a few minutes to kind of give talk about a day-to-day of what it's like in your position and what you do. Is that something that boxing fans don't really understand either? And, you know, you're working with Gore right now. I know
yes.
Fight that's announced, so
he's another one.
Well.
Yeah. You know, it's the days are long, you know, they're really long. And, you know, for me, because I do all the press, I do everything, you know what I mean? I do everything for these lads to keep up with their medicals and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, a typical day for me is, you know, I get up around about 4 a.m. sometimes, 3:30, 4 a.m. And then, because that's kind of like the sweet spot over in Europe, and I'm on the phones already as I'm getting ready to go out and do my road work, but I'm on the phones already. I'm hitting the phones to everybody over in Europe, pitching my kids, trying to get, I call them all my kids, trying to get stories for these guys. So I'm you know, I've got to work both sides of the pond, you know what I mean? And then if they are from somewhere else, like such as Gore, now I have to deal with Armenia. So I'm calling all these big markets all around the world constantly. And that's before anyone over here even gets up. And then I've got to hit the East Coast, I've got to hit the West Coast. And it's just an ongoing thing. And then you've got to make sure, you know, you go to the gym, you spend time with them in the gym, you keep track of their sparring, any injuries, are they okay, their mental health. I'm big on that. I call everyone every day, even the kids that I don't even work with anymore. I still call them every day to check on them. And then you've got to deal with the promoter, tickets, family, you know, whatever it is. And then there's room for shit that you don't even think about that's just going to pop up. So it's literally it's 9:30 right now for me. So when I get off with you guys, I'm going to be on the phone over to Europe in a minute because some of my people will be waking up and I need to do some work before I go to bed. You know what I mean? So it's like constant on the go all the time. You've got to think about how can you keep your fighter relevant? Why should you write about my kid? So that's my job. I have to convince you to write about my kid. You know, some people I'm lucky I can be like, hey, do a story on such and such. He's just ate cornflakes for his breakfast. They'll write a story. But the big people, they make you work for it. I have to work very hard to, you know, because there are so many guys coming. Again, all the media, they look at the Ryan Garcias, the Devin Haney's, but I've got Goyeritsian. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, don't forget, and my McKenna boys, and you know, and who are great talents themselves. They're all unbeaten. So I have to convince you to write about my kids and leave these guys out of the paper for just one day, so my kid can get a look in. And that's really, really hard. But that is where you have to build your relationships and be really solid with your relationships, that you can call people and make it happen. You know, so it's never ending, really.
It's a hustle. It's a hustle, and you have to have strong relationships with a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky. Yeah, I was lucky. Look, I came up through the Kevin Iole the stages, and Robert Morrell, Steve Springer, you know, all the oldies but goodies. And they all taught me, you know, that I would pitch them something. They'd be like, "Oh, come, you know, you go work on it and come back." So I'd go off and do what I need to do, come back and pitch it. And then if they wrote about me, I was like, "Oh, I got it right." You know, it's like being in school. But yeah, I mean, they taught me what I know, you know.
So Rachel, your fighters over across the pond, as you say, what do you tell them about the like American boxing landscape? Because I feel like we have a bias here. Even me, guilty of it all the time. I say, "Oh, so and so's fighting some Euro bum." You know,
Right.
I throw that out. My bad. But so, what do you tell them when they're trying to make a name for themselves? And you know, I guess you know Vegas is probably the spot where everybody dreams to fight. What do you
Right.
tell those young guys or whatever about boxing in America?
I just tell them, like, you've got to, it's next level. You got to come over. You got to bring everything you've got, you know. But again, it's not like everybody overseas can come over here and be successful. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna come over, you've got to bring your A game for sure. There's no question about it, because the talent over here is just so elite that even the elite kids from England, like Team GB, and they'll come over and then they'll get in the ring with a Mexican kid, and that's it. That's all she wrote. You're out, you know. So they being in England, you know, they fight a lot of Europeans, but they don't really, a lot of Americans don't necessarily, like the amateur scene. I'm not sure how many of them go to the world championships and things like that. I'm sure there are a lot. I mean, Devin Haney for sure, because he fought Aaron McKenna in the amateurs when they were 11 and 12. You know, it's America is a whole different ball game because it's so diverse. You know what I mean? So if I got a kid, like I had Aaron McKenna from Monaghan Island, him and his brother, Stephen McKenna. And I found Aaron when he was like 14, 15, brought him over here. Didn't know much about him, but he had a really good amateur record at that point. And he was a baby, but we took him to the gym in Burbank, and he just battered the life out of this Russian kid, David something, I forget his last name, but he's a pro. Beat the life out of the kid. And then his friend got in, like to avenge his friend from the sparring. He got his jaw broke. It's like, okay, well, whatever. That's right. Then we took him to like wild card, and he did great there. Then we took him down to into East LA, and he just was brilliant. I'm like, oh shit, I got something there. You know, this kid's got some talent, but that's not for everyone. You know what I mean? So if you're going to come to America, it's a different style. Everything's different. So just do your homework, you know, and try to prepare as best you can for an ass whooping, really, you know, unless you're gonna bring it all, you know. You can't just come over here just because you're from a certain place and think you're all hot shit, because it's like they don't care. No one cares.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's crazy. I bring that up because, like, I mean, we kind of joke around about it all the time, but like when Matchroom, I feel like when they have a prospect and they bring some Mexican fighter from Tijuana with a few losses, and I'm like, yo, bet on that guy.
Absolutely. Always bet on those boys from TJ, man. That's all they do. They train and then they wait to come, and they know the phone's going to ring on a Friday if somebody didn't make weight, or they missed a flight, or they need a quick fill-in, because and I love it. I freaking love that shit, man. Look at your man on Saturday, that prospect from England. He was Team GB, right? He was a little badass prospect, and he got freaking knocked out.
Oh yeah,
right, yeah. I forget his name now, but they were like, oh, little Floyd, and and this and that and the other. He got sparked, man, out the freaking through the ropes.
Yeah,
you know, Eddie. I thought Eddie was going to shite his drawers. Jesus.
It's crazy. Like one of our guys or contributors, Jack Kelly. You know, I'm always like, yo, I've never heard this guy fight, but bet on that guy. But would you suggest to your guys then maybe that are across the pond, like maybe come over as soon as possible? Maybe if it's not for the biggest fight, but just come over here and experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, have a camp out here. I tell all the lads, come over and have a camp, you know, just to get a feel for what it's like in the gym. with these fighters. I mean, and you can walk into any gym and someone's going to walk through the door that's just like, oh man, like that's a badass right there. Just move around the ring with people, get kind of like be with these guys in the gym and get a feel for just the life of a gym in East LA or something, because they're not used to that. They have no idea, and it can only serve them well. You could come for and have a month over here. Go to Wildcard, go to Churchill, go to East LA, and just learn some new things.
What's it like down there in Wildcard? We had earlier this year, we had Blair Cobbs on there, and he kind of state claimed that he was kind of the king of Wildcard right now, in a sense.
I think he's moved on from Wildcard. I haven't seen him there in a while, but Wildcard's a great gym. It's fantastic. It has gone from just being a gym down, in Hollywood, to being obviously a instantly recognizable brand. And of course, it's like the gold, the bar, the highest bar of gyms. I think simply because of the talent that's came out of there, obviously. But I do think there are other gyms that are probably a little bit better than Wildcard. Wildcard is a great gym. Freddie is brilliant. Everyone down there is fantastic. And you can literally sit there and somebody's going to walk in that you just never would have thought. Anyone just walks in the door. You know what I mean? That's what I like about it. There's somebody new every day, or there's somebody famous or whatever, but we're mostly downstairs because it's split into two. And back in the day, the downstairs used to be a laundrette. There's like a laundromat downstairs.
Oh, okay.
And but Freddie converted it into a gym. So if you have caught the eye of Freddie, you get invited to go downstairs. That's like the VIP. And then upstairs is just like regular, fighters, and then pedestrian trainers, people that want to train. But it's a great atmosphere. I love Wildcard. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Yeah. Blair's talking, I think just even the competition aspect, when there's that competition aspect and you could rise up within the gym, like that's gonna provide dividends down the line.
Absolutely. And again, to you never know who's going to walk through the door, and you could be having a fantastic day of sparring, and then someone's going to walk in the door that might be like, I want to sponsor that kid. But you just never know who's going to be down there, which is the beauty of it. You know what I mean? But Freddie, it's a well-oiled machine. Marie keeps it. Everything is in order. Nothing falls out of order. And everyone is super respectful. They don't put up with any shenanigans, no bullshit, no bad energy. That will be rooted out, and that'll be it. So it's a good gym. It's a really good gym. Yeah.
It's good to hear, because it's one of those. It's kind of like our new version of Kronk in a way. That was like the gym for boxing. And there's no other gym that I think off the top of my head that stands out. There's the Mayweather gym in Vegas, but I feel like that's kind of like just glitz and glamour in a sense. Wildcard has that feel.
Yeah, I mean? Wildcard. When I used to go to Wildcard back in the day when I had James, and you'd walk on the carpet and your feet would be and then they got new carpet. I'm like, oh shit, we're going up in the world. They've got new carpet in the gym. But yeah, it's a really good gym. Like Devin Haney was training down there. There's the Munguia's down there right now. There's a bunch of people down there. It's just a really good atmosphere. It really is. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those places, like if you want to test yourself, you want to smoke, then you know where to go. Like walk through those doors, and you'll find out who you are. Right? Like you're gonna find out who you are.
Oh, it's a truth teller. It's definitely a truth teller. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, I know you've worked with James Toney a lot of years. Give us a good James Toney sparring story. I know he's got a bunch, and his sparring sessions are intense from what I've heard.
Oh man, he'd be like, he would just cuss people out. I've seen him make grown men freaking sob, and feel so insecure about themselves. Be like, get the fuck out of the ring. I mean, he's dropping every. Oh my God, he's obscene. But yeah, I mean, James is cut from a completely different cloth. I mean, talk about having to, I don't know what level you have to be on to even face James Toney when he was James. Exactly right. It's like through the roof. But yeah, if you showed up and you weren't cutting it in the ring and sparring, he'd physically have you removed from the gym. It was terrible. But you know.
Rachel, what do you think about him? Because he just fought recently against Razor Ruddock, I believe. What do you think about these older guys having these exhibitions? And they're exhibitions by title, but like I watched some of it and they're like still throwing it. You know, like what do you think about that?
I think it is absolutely friggin' awful.
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely awful. And you know what? James and I are exactly the same age. We're a month apart. So James is 55 years of age. I know I don't look it, but I am. I'll show you my birth certificate. But you know, he's how can I say it? He's not the James Toney that we know when he fought Evander Holyfield and you know, obviously, right? And after Joe Rav and all that kind of stuff. He's 55, but it goes to show you that these guys that everybody loved and would race home to watch, and they were, you know, they're Hall of Famers, they retire and they have no money. And that's why he went and fought, because he's got no money. And that makes me so sad because, you know, it's mismanagement, mispromotion, you know, like everything about it, right? And some of these fighters always think that they're going to be on top of the world forever, and that's just not factual. And if you have to get in the ring and do an exhibition at the age of 55 to make a few pennies, bloody awful. And Triller, like I was going in on them like they can fuck off to the deepest depths of fucking hell. Excuse my language. Because to see James, and you know, I had James came with me to England and we did Prize Fighter, which was like 10 years ago, something like that. And even then he looked terrible. And so he's only, you know, he's on the decline, you know, he shouldn't be in the ring. He just shouldn't be. But these fighters feel like they've got no choice. And again, it also goes back to, I've got one more fight in me. And they, you know, but it's like, is that what we want to see? We want to see these guys like, you know, it's not right. I think it's exploitation, to be honest with you. And I think that these guys are left with no choice because not everyone retires as wealthy as Mayweather or, you know, and James made a lot of money. James made a lot of money in his time. But if you've got no money, you're going to go and do anything. And that was just such a shame. And of course, nobody would sanction that over here in America. So they had to go to the Caribbean and do it. But I think it was just an absolute abomination. I really do.
Wouldn't you say if, though, I guess to play devil's advocate, like this is something they love and they're doing it in the gym, they just like fighting, they're going to the gym regardless. And if somebody's going to pay them, why not take it? Or
look, I think that every fighter, like I said, every fighter feels like they're not retired. I'm not retired. What do you want about? I don't even, you know, I want to fight. I'm a boxer. I'm a fighter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But when you are at a point in your life and you're 55 years of age and you're no longer, you know, you can't do ringside commentating because you're punchy, right? Mm-hmm. You can't, or you've pissed so many people off. James was such a loudmouth. I mean, I love him dearly. I wouldn't be in boxing without James, right? But the truth is the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? So you've pissed everybody off, so you can't get a job in boxing, like in anything other than boxing. He would be a brilliant trainer, but he even says himself he's got no patience for it. And he's so
much better than whoever he wants to train.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's it, right? Like what? So, I mean, the thing about it is that when you've got no money, you're going to go do anything. That's just how it is. And it's all Mike Tyson's fault, right? Because he had such a great showing with Roy Jones. And we needed that at the time that happened. We needed something brilliant to take our mind off of COVID and all that other bullshit. But everything that's coming down, the James Toneys of the world and the Razor Ruddocks or whatever, they should not be in the ring. It straight off, they should not be.
Yeah.
Floyd is a different animal because that guy freaking trains. I mean, he is a specimen, right? James Toney isn't. And that's a fact. So Triller thinking they're all hot shit. Oh, we got James Tony. No, motherfucker, you got James. Oh my God, Lord help me, sweet heavenly Father. Fuck me. Here we go.
Talk that talk, Rachel. We need it.
Right.
That's what boxing needs. We need that talk.
Right. I mean, but seriously, they sat there putting out freaking press releases, and the freaking guy that works for Triller that used to be at Golden Boy, he's a piece of shit. I put up a tweet. I'm like, did you see it, Felix?
I didn't see it.
It was James, Razor, and the guy, right? The guy that I'm talking about. He was in the middle, and I put, one of these guys is a cheapest chip snake oil salesman. I'll give you a clue. It's the one in the middle. Because it's like, you're a piece of crap. This is exploitation of these guys. They have no business being in the ring because they're only going to get damaged even more. So then when James Toney is 60, what's he going to be like when he's 60? Sucking his dinner out of a fucking straw.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought it was crazy. Like, well, first I thought it was crazy that James Toney and Razor Roddick were fighting. First off. But then I thought it was crazy, like, there was no headgear involved. Like, come on, like, what are we trying to prove here? At least throw some headgear on, bigger gloves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you go back to it. I think that Mike Tyson and Roy Jones proved it proved that it was profitable, and where there's money, there's people that are going to follow. And that was probably kind of maybe the genesis for, even Jake Paul fights and all these YouTuber fights.
Yeah.
Because that was the first exhibition that was that I remember, that was kind of sold as an exhibition, and now it kind of made it okay for, hey, who
exhibitions. Right.
Yeah.
I want to do an exhibition. Like, me and Felix. Felix's ass though, man.
I mean, I just saw recently that Roy Jones was in talks with Tommy Fury for exhibition, and
and that's the thing, because then it becomes so freaking absurd, right? I mean, that is just pathetic. But Roy Jones has got plenty of money. He really doesn't need to be doing that anymore. What he did with Tyson was a one-off, and it was brilliant. It made a shite ton of money.
And we needed it too. Like you said,
we needed it. We absolutely needed it, right? We don't need it anymore. Can someone let them know? Like, no one gives a shit anymore. You know what I mean?
We don't need Roy Jones and Tommy Fury.
I mean,
I didn't need the last probably 10 Roy Jr. fights, right? Like when he was fighting like real dudes in Russia and getting slept, I'm like, come on, man, I don't need that.
Right, because it's like you're watching your idol just get chipped away to nothing, and that's such a shame. All that work, and they've given their whole lives to boxing. And you know what? Boxing could actually do with giving these guys a little bit more. There's no reason why James Toney is broke. Should be broke, I should say. He shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Help these fighters out, because once you're done, and boxing's done with you. And that's a fact also, right? And there are only a few that have actually reached that level of extreme wealth, of the Mayweathers and all of those guys, and that's okay, because that was the times that they were fighting. They were generating millions and millions. James Toney made a lot of money, but he wasn't smart with his money, so now he's got none. So now you're 55 and you got to go freaking fight down in the freaking Caribbean against some freaking dude that's older than you, and make a mockery of yourself. You're a Hall of Famer. But the saddest part of this is that these guys retire and they don't have anything to fall back on. That's the saddest part of it all.
And they really they get no recognition for the legends that they are. I did, and I don't know if they got paid to be there or whatever, but when Fury fought Ngannou over in Saudi, and it seemed they brought a lot of legends over. And
they got paid for sure.
Kind of recognized, even if it's just a picture that went out worldwide. I was like, man, these guys deserve that because they are the legends. And
absolutely.
It's tough to see when, James Toney, one of the all-time best, man, maybe pioneer for a way a lot of dudes fight or want to fight. And I don't even know if they know it, but James Toney was that guy. So to see him fighting Razor Ruddock, I'm like, come on, man. Why are we doing that?
Awful. Honestly, I was so pissed off. I was, oh my God, I was so angry. Just the sadness of it all,
Yeah,
very
sad. It's unfortunate. And again, it's like you mentioned, there's some guys like James who are doing it for the money. And then there's the guys like Roy who's doing it maybe for the glory still.
Right.
as you mentioned, they all have that, one last one left in them. But at what point is it
But it's
okay
a
to walk away?
why, right?
Yeah, and the why. I mean,
And,
Roy's not.
it's like no other sport kind of allows that, right? Like at basketball, they're not gonna allow, Michael Jordan, hey, get one more game in, and it just doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
and boxing is kind of so Wild West. If there's money involved and people will pay, then
yeah,
someone will make
boxing's
it happen.
soulless. It's
Yeah.
soulless. Yeah, exactly. There's always somebody out there that will do that. And right now it's Triller. They're freaking idiots because they've got nothing else going on. What else do they have going on? Nothing.
It's true.
Yeah, it's very sad. Very sad.
Well, we definitely well, before I kick it off to close it out, Daniel Dubois, Jarrell Miller. I know you don't like him, Rachel, but any quick predictions on that one, guys?
Oh God.
Does Big Baby fight a clean fight? Let's just ask that. That's the question.
I mean, maybe he'll fight a clean fight. I don't know if he is clean, but he's I kind of see he's making the most of this opportunity because I keep seeing him pop up on my feed. He's face to face with Joshua. That I saw his face to Dubois. I'm like, I don't know, right? Like, because at one point he was kind of like maybe not the next American, but American that was going to do something. So does he beat Dubois? I think he might. I don't know.
I think he might too. Yeah. Dubois coming off of a loss as well, isn't he? But Dubois, I mean, he's boring. To me, he's boring. I mean, it's just like, a bit like dry toast. But I think that Big Baby, he's got to make a name for himself. He's got to get back in the mix. And he can only do that by running his mouth. I mean, let's hope if he wins and then if they do any testing, which they probably won't, I don't know. But let's hope he's clean. We'll see. Right. We'll see in a few days.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like Felix, like this weekend, I'm on pins and needles, hoping neither guy loses. I'm looking forward to March, and I'm kind of mad. Sometimes boxers fight one time a year, but now you guys want to fight and can ruin the fight that I want to see.
I know, right?
All right, but I'm the biggest Joshua fan this weekend, and then I'm the biggest I guess maybe Joshua is headlining. Whatever. I'm the biggest Joshua and Wilder fans because I want to see them fight. I've been wanting to see them fight for years, so I'll be tuning in, and hopefully they both win. And you guys better not lose. Boxing deserves this fight.
Boxing deserves the fight. Joshua. Give us some. Yeah, exactly. Give us something, Daddy.
The last fight that I'm just going to touch on real quick, Dimitri Bivol, 13 months being out of the ring, fighting Lyndon Arthur. I don't know much about Lyndon Arthur. He traded a couple bouts with Anthony Yard. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that, throw that in there, but
never heard of him.
Yeah, none of it.
Yeah. So I would just say I think Bivol really maybe underestimated. He beat Canelo, yes, but like, bro, we were tuned in for Canelo, and just because you beat Canelo doesn't mean you are Canelo. So you can't just throw all the shots. So yeah, he's fighting, I guess, Lyndon something. I'm guessing you win, but I don't know much.
No, I've never heard of the guy.
Yeah, and Bivol, I think it's just what you said. I mean, I think he passed his opportunity to become a star. He took out the star of boxing, and he didn't do anything after that, unfortunately. And
He doesn't have much of a personality, though. That's the problem. If you don't have a personality, there's a million fighters out there that are really, really good, and they've got the personality of a freaking cracker. You know what I mean? I mean, a cracker like the one you can eat, not the other. Okay, everybody calm down. But they don't have any personality, you know what I mean? And that is problematic sometimes.
It is. And, when he beat Canelo and then he tried to like almost dictate the terms of the next Canelo fight. He said, I want to fight you at 168. It's like, bro, Canelo only fought you because he wanted the 175-pound title. Why is Canelo, I think he just severely, overestimated his worth. And now he's fighting some guy that we've never heard of on probably opening the card. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But
it is.
Hey, that's boxing. lessons to be learned for a lot of youngsters that watch and study these guys too.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it has been an absolute honor having you, Rachel. It was definitely
I'm
fun.
going to bed now. It's freaking A, man. Well, I got to make some calls and I'm going to bed. Bloody hell,
That's what we
kids.
do. We go. This is why we cuss and allow all that. We go late night.
I love this shit, man. I swear to God, I love the F word. I can't help myself. It's like that's my go-to.
I know. As long as I've known you, you've never had a filter. That's for sure.
Right? Oh my God. And now I'm getting older. I really don't give a shit. It's like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Blacklist me? Like you're gonna blacklist me? Like fucking get the fuck out of here. I'm almost dead anyway. Who cares? But
any other last comments for everybody tuning in? And, there's gonna be a replay.
One last question from me. Rachel, who's the face of boxing?
oh, you're a right little shitbag, aren't you? On the way out the freaking door, you asked me the hardest bloody question. That's a hard question. Shit, man. Who'd you pick?
I still go Canelo, but I'm a Canelo fan.
I mean, see, Canelo to me, I'm going to go with Devin right now. I'm going to go with Devin. And Canelo to me is like a senior, like he's an ambassador. He's like the big man, right? But I think I would say that it's Devin. I think Ryan Garcia tripped and fell. And I don't think Tank is brilliant, but he's a bit, but Devin Haney for sure. Yeah, I think I'd go with Devin.
And after his year, I think just, prisoner of the moment. I think Devin Haney's probably fighter of the year too. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, his performance was brilliant. I loved it, and I'm gonna go with Devin. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So again, the floor is yours again, Rachel. Any last comments for everybody tuning in?
Well,
again, the replay, so people will obviously be able to run it back and watch.
Oh God, no! Don't run it back and watch my dirty mouth. Nah, man. Just just support boxing, but don't just support the big fights. Support the kids that are in the gym every single day. The Adam Lopez's of the world, like the Gore Euritians of the world, right? Yeah, Blue Nose. All these kids that are down there just honing their craft day after day after day. Just support those guys. Come to the little fights around town and support those kids, because you're going to go to, you're going to see tomorrow's champions today. So that's what you should do. I really would encourage everyone to do that, please. Yeah. Otherwise I'll come find you and drag you there.
And for me, Felix, we didn't talk about it much, but Gore against Quentin Randall, this could be like a stepping stone into that next, stage. Yeah. And that's one of your fighters. So
yeah, Gore's going to go in there with some bad intentions. That kid is a freaking pistol. I love Gore. I love him. And they said, Randall, what the opponent is going to come in always a spoil. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Gore doesn't give a shit. So
yeah, there you go.
Right, we're gonna find out February 23rd. I always bring it up
because we mentioned earlier this year Blair Cobbs was on our platform, and it's just the most hilarious thing to ever was we asked him about Quentin Randall. Quentin Randall, I guess, was calling him out, and Blair was like, "I don't know who that guy is." So to me, Quentin Randall is always the man that nobody knows.
No one knows. No one knows, and
might make sure nobody ever knows him.
Listen, Gore is a European kid. He's an Armenian kid. Those kids are badass. They're like Mexicans. Hard, tough as freaking nails, bad to the freaking bone. And I watch that boy train every single day, and he's going to be a big problem. Big problem. So, man, don't get your little T-shirts ready, and the new and all that shit. Don't book a party. None of that shit, man. You're going to get splattered on the 23rd of February.
There we go.
Right? To it, yeah.
You heard it from me.
There we go. Hey, appreciate you again coming on. We'll definitely have you on many more times. The fans are gonna love you, I'm sure.
Yeah, Rachel. Shoot, any fighter you want. We got a great writer in Jack Kelly. He can do in Dakota, Nibs, all them. Send them our way. No questions asked. We'll do a story.
Thank you. I will.
Always. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. We'll have to get together and have a part. Well, Tyson and AJ, my house. Where do you live?
I'm a little north. I'm out there. But
where? Oh, okay. You're in some witness protection. He doesn't even want to say where he lives. Come on, man. Where do you live? Oh, you little bugger. You.
West Coast. We'll just say that.
West Coast? Shit, you might be next door to me. I'm going to walk down the hallway. But yeah, we'll have to have a viewing party. That'll be fun.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, no, Rick, one of my favorite episodes that we've had here. Appreciate you just, being you,
pleasure.
I guess.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Man,
Let's do it again.
Going. Like, hey, we all, people are fans of this person, fans of that person. I just say, hey, be a fan of the sport, be a fan of the fights, and boxing will get to where it needs to be. So
yeah, exactly. It'll right itself at some point.
Oh yeah.
All right, kids. All right.
Pitch Inc. Follow Pitch Inc. Right?
Yeah, Pitch Inc. And
I'm gonna send a follow right now.
Make sure you tune in to our other show Friday night. The B show we like to call it, but really we're on the A side because ITR boxing, baby. But hey, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next time. Peace,
all right,
everybody.
Guys. Toodles. Do I just log out? What the hell do I do now?
We just log out.
Is that it? All right, kids.
That's
See you later. All right.
And I'm leaving this live so everybody can see you struggle as you log out.
What are you doing? I'm like an old lady. You're such a shit bag. All right, dude. I'll see you in a bit. Bye.